Alright, we are rolling, ladies and gentlemen.
We hear his voice, and it's way double screens. Mate,
Right.
This was supposed to be just a casual chat, you and I.
So this was a little casual chat that we thought we would record as a podcast. This is the inaugural episode of the Broccoli Roast with
The one and only
my new co-host.
JG.
Oh,
That
there's
was
so
his
much
idea.
chemistry
That
already.
was not my idea.
Wow.
I was going to go with Jay Cordo, but he thought it was a little much.
Why are you trying to hide your name?
Because I just feel like this is your show, and
It's not true.
I mean, I'm just here to reflect your beauty.
Oh, and you do. You do so well.
So what are we doing? What are we talking about?
So this is, I mean, let's go macro for a second.
Macro.
This this show has been going for, I think we're up to episode 13 or 14 or something like that. And it's been going well. And from the get-go, it was always, I wanted to bring on a co-host of some sort where we could take a different approach with the show as opposed to just sitting down and doing interviews and things like that, which, you know, we had discussed. And you've been away for too long. So I had to start the show without you. And now that you're here, we can get moving.
Well, welcome. I'm excited to see how this unfolds. I have no idea what we're going to do tonight, but I'm excited.
Well, I thought that we would... Let's meet you.
Let's meet me. Okay.
Do you want to take a moment? I'm just going to fix a little camera angle here, which I think is probably pretty good.
I think it's good.
I'm just going to check it. But tell us about you.
What do you want to know, buddy?
What do you do for a living?
Mate, what don't I do? I have just got back from overseas for the last 7 months. I have had an absolute blast in Bali for almost 3 months, Spain, Italy, America, and Adelaide, which
Rads.
kind of as a caveat is probably not the most exhilarating place, but I do have family there. I had a house which I renovated in those 7 months as well. But no, I set up a company 3 years ago with the intention and the desire to align my life's values with my work and to really integrate the two. And I was living in beautiful Bondi Beach, a bit of a bubble.
No.
And Kale absolutely never came and visited me except for once.
No, I came
Twice.
at least twice.
Twice. No more than two
And then
times.
once you were busy.
Anyhow, I discovered that I wasn't living completely in alignment with my values. So I've been traveling and working and exploring and meeting and networking and expanding and growing and learning. And then somehow in the midst of all that, Kale's convinced me to come up and stay with him.
So that's right.
In beautiful Newport.
You're not only the co-host now, you're the roommate. So this is the first episode.
Who snores apparently.
Last night you did. And it was
But
bad.
There's
so,
a disclaimer. We are drinking tonight 100% organic, preservative-free, carbon-neutral, vegan-friendly, preservative-free. Last night I did not. I had organic, but I had preservatives, and
You reckon it messed you up?
fucked me up.
Yeah. See, my respiratory system does react in a negative way as well to
Coconut.
coconut. Thank you. Emma doesn't believe me, but Jay does. This is working out great. So coconut and dairy tend to react with my respiratory system.
I have to actually share this because there was a part of me that was nervous. You would think moving to the Northern Beaches, an hour out of Sydney, an hour away from the rest of my friends, that would be the biggest fear factor. It wasn't. It was living with this guy here. Not because he's not a good guy, but, you know, like I use ordinary toothpaste, which has chemicals in it. I probably eat some foods, which is interesting. I'm getting an education in the process of, but I was kind of like, you know, when you step into a first date scenario, it's like a setup and you step into it and it's like, well, I just don't know how this person's going to interact with my bad habits.
Yeah. So you're saying that you approached our relationship like a first date.
Yeah.
I'm flattered.
We slept in separate rooms. Went great.
Ah, funny. No, so you are up here until at least the end of the year, and we'll see after that, isn't it?
Absolutely.
We'll see what you want to do. But regardless, you'll be in Sydney, I'll be in Sydney.
There's, in my opinion, and I've travelled a lot, and there's some beautiful places around Australia, but For me, the livability in certain parts, not all parts. I get that Sydney, the traffic for a lot of people watching.
Yeah, if you have to drive to work and stuff.
If you have to drive, you have to battle it. We fortunately do not, and when we do, we get to choose our times. But it's stunning. The beaches here, the wildlife, the people in the right pockets are amazing.
What about Bondi?
Mate, it's a love-hate. I love it, and I also don't always enjoy it.
Yeah. So what do you do on a day-to-day basis? Before we get into the meat of today's discussion, when someone asks what do you do?
What do I do?
What do you say? Because I still don't know what you do.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
It's an algorithm thing.
No, not really. I work in the wellness sector. My real passion, I really hate when people ask you what do you do, but my real passion is inspiring people. I don't like the word motivating, but helping people change in the way that they want to. So to take them from point A to point wherever in a really processed way that helps them to connect with themselves in a very personal but professional way as well, to obtain some clear formed outcomes. At the moment, we've got 2 programs I'm working on. We've got a program for females only, working in the area of mind-body transformation. Obviously, a lot of people have body goals, health goals, fitness goals, weight loss goals. And what we've done is we've integrated the process of helping someone to change their body, take them through that process of change with the mindset side. So we work in the area of neuro-linguistic programming, among other coaching modalities as well. The other one is a life leadership program where we work with corporates, CEOs at a leadership level, helping them to leverage their life and their leadership.
So you're a coach?
Yeah.
If you could put it into a couple of words, which for clarity.
A coach of sorts, a tormentor of others. But genuinely, I love what I do, and it's taking me 27 years, I'm a little older than that, but 27 years to discover what my passion is. And I absolutely thoroughly wake up every day with such a sense of gratitude for what I get to do.
It's good, so do I. That's why it's good for you to be in this house.
Yeah, I'm loving it. 3 days in, 2 days in.
3 days in. He hasn't come out of his room yet, but that's fine. West SJ says, hi, Jay. Do you know West?
I do.
How did that work?
Sal, how are you seeing this?
How good's that? What are you up to? What are you up to, Sal? We'd love to know. So guys listening to the podcast this evening, which will probably be tomorrow, we are recording Facebook Live. Yeah, we got the DSLR up the top recording for the podcast and YouTube, and we've got the Facebook Live going. We would love to hear from you guys on Facebook Live right now as to what you think we should talk about. You've got a journalist here and you've got a coach of some sort over here. So what should we talk about? Because we thought, and actually this is, I suppose an ode to minimalist principles. Mm-hmm. I thought that we could progress with episodes based on one word.
I like it.
And tonight's word is going to be change.
Ooh, I thought we were going with the other one.
No, change.
Okay, we're going with change.
What was the other one?
Well, we will keep it. That's right. We'll keep it
under wraps for next time. Yes, Al, love it. So change. You've been going through a lot of change lately.
Me?
Yeah, we just moved.
Okay. The one thing that I have committed myself to in the last 7 months is obviously opening myself up to change, because whenever we step out of our comfort zone, which for many of us holds us trapped, holds us in a cycle, not a rut, but sometimes feels like a rut. One thing I've really endeavored to do the last 7 months is open myself up to change, to put myself into situations that scare the hell out of me, that have challenged me, that have really got me outside of my own paradigms of thinking and beliefs. And through all of that, the thing that has been the most thrilling for me has been this sense of alignment of values within myself. So from a fulfillment point of view, absolutely getting in touch with my truest sense of values, my hierarchical values, and then also finding flow in that. Because the challenge is anytime you try to put anything in a box, whether it's love, whether it's values, I think you lose the sense of flow. And so there's this interplay between fulfillment and flow So absolutely been challenged in so many ways, particularly going back to Adelaide. But Kale loves Adelaide, if you didn't know. Absolutely.
It's an interesting relationship.
It's complicated.
It is complicated. And I would tend to agree with where you're going. And Sal's having a wine tonight and watching.
Cheers, Sal.
Yeah, cheers, Sal. And we've got Cassiano, who says, I work in corporate and find that it is very hard to link good lifestyle and gut health with working 9 to 5 and busy lives. I suppose I'll try and incorporate that comment into the change discussion, because if you are struggling with something, then you obviously need to make some changes to experience a different result. And that in itself sounds so simple, but a lot of people miss that concept when they're just complaining or dissatisfied with a certain result in their life. So whether it's you're dissatisfied with how your gut health is whilst working a 9 to 5 position somewhere. So inherently within that, you need to change something. And in order to change something, you probably need to work out what your highest values are and then start to try and shift in alignment with that. As Jay said, and as you guys know, I'm very fond of sharing on the show. Something that you sent me this morning, a little message which I really appreciated, was something I've been trying to articulate for quite a long time, and that is this idea of being, how did he put it?
Blissfully dissatisfied.
That's right. Blissfully dissatisfied.
Blissfully
Do you want to expand on that? What is it? And who was the guy?
Ed Mylett, Mylett. Look him up on, he's got a podcast, I think it's called The Ed Mylett Show, not to take it away from the Kyle Brock, Broccoli Roasted, whatever the show's called.
We know each other really well.
Kyle Brock. Kylie. Kale Brock.
Kyle's broccoli.
The blissful dissatisfaction is this, that so many of us, and I'm going to do a terrible job paraphrasing.
No,
he's an amazing podcast. So jump online, check it out. It's called Blissful Dissatisfaction, Ed Mylett. But he basically talks about this premise of how in our life we hold ourselves back from change, from giving our all to something. We hold ourselves back from the area of vulnerability in terms of going all out because of the risk because of the potential failure, etc. And he was sort of weaving into that the whole concept of happiness versus fulfillment, and how so many of us tend to delay that sense of happiness to the point of thinking that either, well, if I am completely happy, I'll stop, so my drive will slow down. And he was sort of dispelling that myth and to say, well, that's actually not founded in scientific research in terms of the dopamine linking, that when we actually are achieving, we feel completely lit up in our mind and we're feeling that biochemical response in our body, that actually compels us to more in a good sense. But he was also talking about people who feel like they have to have a certain number of things to happen in their life before they can have happiness. I.e.,
I'll be happy when.
Once when this happens or whatever it might be. So he was talking about this whole concept of how do you find fulfillment? Not through happiness alone. Yes, happiness, but more importantly, fulfillment in what it is you're doing by living, I guess, the best version of you, for want of a better cliche.
Yeah.
But
we like that cliche.
it's been, we've talked about this tonight a little bit. It's used a lot in Bondi. Just trying to live my best life, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it.
But great podcast, check it out. I actually was listening to it at 1:30 in the morning last night with the full moon. And
great sleep, obviously.
Yeah. Amazing.
Well, I was discussing this with someone out. Oh God, you can see my cleavage. I don't know what's going on.
I thought it was kind of cute.
So awkward. So I was thinking about this in the surf the other day. I really have this last week been so deep in flow when it comes to surfing. We've got little Maddie Anelzark here. How you doing, Maddie? Actually, I believe there was a missed call from you. I'll have to call you back after the show. What are you up to tonight? So I was thinking about the whole blissfully dissatisfied thing is in surfing. I've been really deep in flow this week. Really having those sessions where it's difficult to fall off almost, and they're the dream sessions, and they're so far and few and far between. But this week has been really good, and
I struggle with that all the time. all the time.
How long since you've gone, sir?
Well, there's a few mitigating factors, but anyway, go on.
Okay, I will continue. Thanks for interrupting me. So, the idea that I'm out in the surf and I'm having an incredible time, but the more you get tubed, the more airs you do, the more turns you do, the more hungry you are for doing more of those. Yeah. But it's not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
And like I was filming with Guy the other day, Guy Willamette, who's been doing a lot of the footage that you guys have seen lately. And I think the waves were kind of average. And we were sort of surfing in the morning, and I was very aware that he was sitting on the rocks. And it could have been like a stressful moment going, oh, I've got to get the waves because the guy's sitting there, he's waiting, he wants to get the shot, blah, blah, blah. But it turned into that whole game scenario where it's like, this is it, the process, this is what it's about. And in those moments when you're paddling back out and you are blissfully dissatisfied with the last wave, you want a better one, is almost for me a metaphor for what goes on in life, in that the change is inevitable. And the change may well be part of the growth and evolution, which is the point of the whole thing.
But you touch on two really fascinating points. You just describes an environment where you're in flow, you're complete. This guy lives to surf. He lives for gut health. He lives for all things of
mostly
his work.
surfing.
But it's all surfing. Like his life is geared towards where he lives, how he lives. And I really admire that because he's geared himself and his work around that. But if you were to take that exact same context and put that in a pressure cooker where people are needing to do that next best thing from a performance point of view, I think that's where we're out of alignment. And what I hear you saying is that in this place of complete alignment with your values, with your passions, with what actually makes you feel alive, is this sense of bettering myself in the sense of I'm perfect in this present moment, even if I'm imperfect, but I'm perfectly manifesting in this present moment, but I'm mindfully aware that I would like to progress upon get to. Yeah. And within that context, what we're saying is because that aligns with your values, that's a positive thing. That drives you on. It doesn't push you on. It drives you on in a compelling, inspirational way, as opposed to you feeling, well, I stuffed up and here's that, and that sort of pushing where we burn out. We're out of alignment.
Yeah, it's a danger of, and it's something I've struggled with in the health space because something tells me to, the power of now, like live in the now and do all that sort of stuff. And that whole principle and concept, I guess, not actively discourages you, but there is an inherent discouraging of living too far in the future and thinking too far in the future. But I also want something that's incredibly important to me is growing and evolving. And there are things that I'm so hungry to do in life that if you took those away, I would feel that I didn't have as much purpose as I did. So I guess there's
how do you
two
define
sides.
purpose though? Because that's such a buzzword for people.
Yeah,
I feel. Yeah. How do you define purpose? I'm intrigued to know.
I don't know if I ever have defined purpose, but
well, how do you know you're living in alignment with a sense of purpose?
I think the purpose comes down to what I daydream about, what I go to bed thinking about, what I wake up thinking about, and what I feel like there is, without trying to sound too esoteric, that what I feel there is a calling for me to do. And
how do you know that though?
Well, it sounds really
a bit lame. It aligns. No, 100% aligns because you would call it calling. Other people might use different language, but how do you feel that sense of awakening or alignment of a passion, a flow, a direction, a calling, a pathway, or whatever? Like, how do you know?
Oh, it sounds a bit lame, but I feel it in my heart. Like when when I surf and my gut too. Like when I surf or when even something as simple as watching movie trailers. I watch a movie trailer and that gets me so jacked and buzzed that I'm like, I have to do that. That's the only direction that my life can go in that I would be satisfied. Or would not satisfied because you never get satisfied, but that I would be really happy with is going in that direction, which I am doing now. But, that's where my sort of goals sit, is in this trajectory. And while, as well, maintaining that I can change and be flexible at the same time.
That's a huge part of it.
Allow those goals to change.
That's a huge part of it, though, as well, because I think All of us, I don't know about who's watching this or your upbringing or whatever, but I have had a very interesting upbringing in the sense of the people, my father and other people in my sphere who have almost laid an expectation of what success might look like.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people...
For a lot of people,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And I think the flexibility, where I've found true success is where, number one, I've paid attention to two key questions. And that is, who am I or who do I want to be today? As soon as I wake up in the morning...
Today or 5 years, blah, 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 all that stuff?
No, I wake up in the morning and there's two questions I ask or I write down. I say, who do I want to be?
Mm-hmm. You actually write these down?
I write it down. Or I
you
at
do
least
spend a little bit of time in there in the morning.
I do. I had a bit of a sleep in this morning. Didn't sleep well last night. That was the one. Who do I want to be or become? Because being is becoming in that sense. In that sense of looking forward. And what do I want?
Yeah.
What is it that I today, in alignment with what makes me happy and fulfilled, what do I want?
Yeah.
And then having that at least at some level of a conscious awareness, but more importantly at an unconscious awareness, let that govern my pathway and then just give my all to every single moment. Even if I hate what I'm doing, I will always try to find a level of love for what it is I'm doing, because I feel like if you can be the best in every given moment, you never know how many success boxes you got to tick before the universe is going to bring something into your pathway. And I just feel like you learn so much by giving your all. But who do you want to become? What do you want? And I would say what makes you happy, but I feel like that is...
It's vague.
It's very vague.
Yeah.
It's very vague.
Yeah, and I've talked about this on the show before, when I was probably 17, 18 and going through health issues with my heart, or this was when I was 16, but as I was going through the normal growing pains you do as a young male or female coming into your 20s, you sort of question what you want to do and all this sort of stuff. And my teacher at that time sat me down and said, write down these questions. What do you think about doing? What would you do if money were not an issue? What do you daydream about? What do you go to sleep thinking about? What do you wake up thinking about? Those sort of questions, you'll find that there are common grounds that pop up all the time. And for me, it was surfing. So I had to live a life in alignment with that. And then, of course, something that I could have construed that as, let's turn surfing into a career, which I could have done from a media perspective, probably not a professional perspective. But then for me, it was like almost tainting the passion with the work brush, whereas film is actually, it is work, but it's that other aspect of my goals and ambitions that have come up consistently and that I really, again, feel that calling for. But something that you mentioned that I wanted to touch on was, rather than resisting change, and this is something I see all the time on Facebook, on Instagram, and all the rest of it, people resist change.
Agree.
But it's inevitable. Change is absolutely inevitable. And if you do not change, you're, what's that saying? If you're not growing, you're dying, or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, everything's in a constant state of motion.
100%.
So if you're not moving forward and evolving, you sure as hell aren't standing still. We feel like we're stuck, but we're only ever stuck in our mind. And that's something where, for myself, anytime I get stuck in my mind, I know I got to move my body. I know I got to get out of the house. I know I got to do something to literally change my state of being, because I know that will change my state of thinking, my state of feeling, and literally lift me out of that feeling of stuckness, which is a learned biochemical response anyway. Yeah. There's a great guy, Joe Dispenza.
Joe Dispenza, I've heard of Joe Dispenza.
Brilliant. Check out Joe Dispenza again, not trying to plug other shows.
I think Cindy O'Meara, which a lot of you guys will know, put out an Instagram. I think she was going to watch him for a full day or something.
Brilliant. He's got some amazing stuff on the area of change, the importance of meditation, about how we make decisions, why we make certain decisions, etc. And not just from an esoterical meditational point of view, but from a proven scientific biochemical. Here's what happens in our bodies as we're processing, as we're thinking, and it's really fascinating. Yeah. Fascinating.
I'd love to know what you guys think. I'm just going to press stop and start on the recorder up here so that we get a little reset. But I would love to know what you guys are struggling with. You don't have to go into too personal details if you don't want. But I would encourage you to actually look into your own life, both on socials and in the podcast here, to look at areas where you are resisting change and ask yourself why you might be resisting change.
I know why.
Yeah, why do you think?
Can I swear?
Yeah, we've sworn on the show.
Because change is fucking hard.
Yeah, it is, and it's scary.
Particularly big change that changes not environmental or circumstantial, but where you're challenged to the core, where you want to change something significant in your life. That is not easy. That confronts you to every single cell, every single thought, presumption, paradigm that you're living within. And that's why I believe that so many of us, well, there's two elements to this. So many of us don't want to step into that level of discomfort. We'd rather stay stuck to some degree, I feel. And there's definitely been moments in my life where it's been easier not to step out. It's been easier to play it safe, so to speak, and not be completely vulnerable. And the other element is I really do believe that we only ever get our self-worth, what we believe we're worth, what we believe we're deserving. And so there's a huge part of stepping into that element of yourself to really lift that level of expectation of what you're worth.
I did Born Rich.
I remember that,
by Bob Proctor. And the name is not fantastic. But and it was really old. I remember sitting in this room doing
Did you do it live?
Born Rich. Well, I was in a room, but it was
With Bob?
old. No, it was the old recording.
I've listened to that.
It was terrible, like the recording. And I
want you to imagine your mind.
Yeah, like the full Canadian accent.
Yeah. It's good.
It's great. Like the info was incredible, and it took me probably an hour to actually shake off the cobwebs that were on the screen. It was pretty gnarly, but the information was second to none, and that's really stuck with me today. The idea of self-image, and our self-image is, I suppose, what we. What is it? It's the image that we project onto the world, and often that manifests itself into reality. So to change a result, we first need to change the self-image, or to change the external world, we first need to change the internal world. And for me, back those days, it was like making such tangible decisions as how much money I wanted to make, and going and doing these exercises that were incredibly cheesy to me at the time. And saying things like, okay, I need to earn this much money this month in order to, reach my goal. And it was like a big process of, I didn't realize how much changing that self-image was so powerful, as opposed to just changing a want or desire, which was so much more surface level.
Totally. I feel as well, if you look at if you imagine change as a pyramid where if we had source at the top, and obviously people have different words for source, it's God or the universe or love, whatever word you put there. If we were to sort of pyramid down from there, I feel like a lot of change for a lot of people happens at the environmental, circumstantial, maybe even belief sort of level, and it rarely, if ever, flows upwards. And so what I've found the best way to change, and we're touching on that self-identity, self-worth, is to really step into that place of internal programming. Who am I? What do I want? What do I believe is possible? Recognizing that everything that's coming or happening to us is a reflection in some way, or is there to serve us in some way if we're willing. And it's so easy to stay stuck, and it's so easy to stay bitter in some ways, or hurt, or a victim to a past story. There's a quote I read, I can't remember what it's called, but basically the quality of our life is the quality of our emotions that we're feeling. I'm paraphrasing it, but I feel like it's so easy for so many people, me included at times, to become reactive to our circumstances, to become reactive to our environment, rather than actually stepping into the driver's seat and recognizing that, we have a conscious mind, and it's through that process of conscious thought, conscious choice, that we do have the capacity, hard as it is. It's not easy. Simple, yes, but hard. And to recognize that within that has the power to really change our paradigms of the unconscious mind, and really change our lives.
Yeah, I like that.
Gosh, we went deep really quick, didn't we?
It's good. This is, and philosophy is something that I always discuss, and you guys have seen this in Sunday Soliloquy or listened in Sunday Soliloquy, because for me, philosophy is much more important than trendy rules and tools and tricks, because philosophy gives you a groundwork, a framework upon which to base your decisions in life. And that's why things like Stoicism, have really helped me, and, Bob Proctor stuff, and even going as far as gut health philosophy, which I'll be sharing with you guys in the Gut Health Summit, mind you.
Dates?
We are going to Perth, Adelaide and Sydney. Perth very soon, and Adelaide, Sydney next year, guys. So make sure you check that out. What was I saying? Oh, yes.
Sorry.
So the gut philosophy. Yeah, I think philosophy is more important to discuss and evaluate and reflect on objectively throughout your life, because these passing times are always going to change. There's always going to be change, like we were saying. How do you keep up with that and stay sane? Well, you have a really strong philosophy by which to live by that enables you to weather the inevitable storms of life without crumbling into dust.
Or
you
get a really good bottle of 100% organic, preservative-free, carbon-neutral, vegan-friendly wine from Eden Valley in McLaren Vale, where we're both from. Not Eden Valley, great place.
I'm not from the McLaren Vale.
Well, it's in Adelaide, South Australia. Just play along.
There's a Temple Brewer wine, so I really like their wines because they're all organic and preservative-free.
I actually love the fact that so many vineyards are now producing good, biodynamic, organic, preservative-free wine.
They're changing.
Yeah.
They're changing because the philosophy has come through that people appreciate unadulterated and natural food, whole food. What do you guys think about wine? My perspective on wine changed very dramatically in Europe.
This guy was not drinking. I'm sorry to point the finger, but this guy, I had a barbecue at his house.
You did?
With his beautiful partner, Emma. And has she been on here before?
On the potty?
Yeah. The podcast, not the potty.
No, she hasn't. She don't like it.
Anyway, I remember having this really nice bottle of wine. I think that might have been organic. It might be that shitty wine we had last night. Anyway, having the
You had it. I didn't have any wine.
Lovely glass of wine.
It's a Wednesday, you sicko.
At this point, this guy wasn't drinking. He was really, you were just resolved in your mind. I don't need to drink. I don't want to drink. No. I don't need to go there.
Yeah.
And we respected that. But then what's fascinating for me is to see you step into the time in Europe, and I know some of your philosophy behind that because you've been to the different blue zones.
Well, I haven't been yet, but I've been around them,
right,
and seen the European culture
and the culture of going slower and really enjoying, and the sense of the bigger picture of enjoying a nice glass of red wine. And so I look at that and I think that's an awesome progression, because you were pretty absolute on alcohol.
Yeah, and I see that because one of my friends is the same. And he's very absolute, and I can understand and have empathy for his situation. But what I saw, bringing it back to wine specifically, was the ability of something like a red wine to slow down a meal, which is more important to me than avoiding alcohol. Is to slow down, not just a meal, but life in general.
True.
Some people think I'm too slow already. I surf every day. You've seen me. Few hours work,
but he shreds. He shreds. So.
And the ability to enhance, or maybe not enhance, but bring together people, and food does that as well. But and appreciate. I appreciate that the body adapts and can thrive under many different circumstances. And I think perhaps my evolution of thought has landed at a place where I think that who you eat with and how you eat is more important than what you eat.
And do you know what? Not to go to gut health, because that's not my area of specialty.
Oh, we can talk about it though.
But you talk about this concept of the meaning of wine and how that's changed for you, and really, all of our life experience is the meanings that we associate to it, the feelings, the emotions that we put behind what's happened, what's happening right now, but also what's happened in our life, the meaning we put behind something. dictates the emotional feeling that we have in our body, not just at a conscious, unconscious level, but at a biochemical level in our body, which will produce a response in our body, whether good or bad, whether disease or symptomatic or whatever it might be. And so for me, what's really enlightening, and I love this, is that you've been away. The meaning of alcohol has shifted.
Yes.
The emotionality of it shifted for you. And from that point of view, it's probably better for your health.
100%. Yeah. If this was going in and I thought that alcohol was going to be poison to me, then it probably would act like a poison within my body. And that's the funny thing about the health industry is we're all trying to stand up there and tell people what to eat and how to eat and how to live. But if those teachings are so deeply against your fundamental beliefs or philosophy, then it probably won't work for you. If you're a vegan and you're biologically probably more designed to have meat in a certain scenario, not everybody. But if a vegan is like that and they had meat, they might not feel that great because emotionally they're quite against that. So I guess that's what we've been talking about tonight anyway, is that how powerful the emotions are and how powerful the mind is in terms of determining our response to life.
Yeah. It's a good life.
It is, isn't it? I'm very lucky. So what else should we talk about? Guys, we'd love to hear from you on socials. Also, those listening to the podcast tomorrow.
How do you know who's actually there? Because I can see numbers.
We've got numbers.
But they just sit silent, do they?
Yeah, you guys contribute. Feel brave. Come on. We don't bite.
Hit us with a question that might stump him.
Yeah, stump me. But also those listening to the recording of this tomorrow.
That's right. Gotta remember to look up.
Hit me up on socials at Kale's Broccoli. You might be able to find JG somewhere as well. I'm not going to give out his name because he's like a bit weird.
No.
He doesn't know the audience. He doesn't know that you guys are normal, happy human beings.
He's completely pulling your leg.
Do you want to share your Instagram or not?
Well, it's not really relevant to your show, but
this is our show now.
If they want to find me, they can find me through you. And then this is okay. Sure, yeah. It's your discretion.
What's your Instagram?
My Instagram is Geering.
We heard his name.
JG.
Jay, we love Jay. Wow.
This guy's a looper.
So, peeps, hit me up on socials at Kale's Broccoli. Let me know what else you want us to chat about. But they are going to be one-worded episodes from now on. I think this is always the direction I wanted to go with the show. Musings on largely philosophy and words. And we'll talk about gut health. We'll have interviewees, but that'll be the exception, not the norm.
I like it.
And maybe we'll shoot in Bondi if Jay goes back to Bondi. But if you guys vote and like him enough, he'll stay on the northern beaches.
Bondi, I have to say, Sydney has some of the most incredible beaches.
It does.
On its doorsteps, whether you're northern beaches, east, even dare I say Maroubra and that way, there's some stunning beaches and stunning coastline.
It's beautiful. I mean, this is a paradise. We got to Palm Beach, and during the week, you walk up to the lighthouse, and you guys have seen photos on my Instagram.
Stunning.
It's just gorgeous. It's like a holiday destination. And you surf every day. Like, you can surf every day here. I can surf every day here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, guys, let us know what you thought of this episode of the Broccoli Roast. Let us know on socials, or just do a review or subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let us know in the comments, whatever. Let us know, and we'll chat to you guys very soon. Remember, we've got the Gut Summit coming up soon. We've got Mandy Microbes Big Gut Adventure coming out. And we got a few more things which are still under wraps, but you guys know I let the cats out of the bags pretty early on. So I'll try not to do that this time. What do you got coming up soon? Anything exciting?
Well, not in alignment with what you're doing, but
It doesn't matter.
no, this is a really fun season for me. We got some exciting things underway. We're launching a new wellness retreat in Bali.
Oh yeah,
which is very exciting.
I
Females only.
I haven't got my invite to that yet.
Not to be discriminate towards sex, but it is very much geared towards females who need to tap out of life reconnect with himself, reconnect with nature, reconnect with good food, good philosophy,
Like that.
and have some elements to actually take some practical things back into their life. It's really just to disconnect and recharge.
Yeah.
And not expect that you can change your whole being in the state of 5 days, 7 days, but step out of life, step into a magical environment, be well loved, well fed, and
I like it. Well loved and well fed.
well loved and well fed.
Isn't that every man's dream?
Mate,
Obviously,
you know,
every
coming
woman's
it's
dream.
females only.
So it's females only, except I'll be there. So
This would be Kylie Broccoli.
Kylie Broccoli. Guys, this is getting weird. We'll chat to you guys soon. I think that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Cheers
All
to change.
Cheers to change. Woo! Cheers, guys.